Hi. Prince Andrew stepping back from public duties amid Jeffrey Epstein scandal. And this has been going on for quite a few years, really, hasn't it, behind the scenes, until it's all suddenly burst forth again into the public arena, as it were. And then with the death of Jeffrey Epstein, alleged suicide, who knows? What we do know is that he was trafficking young girls, procuring young girls onto his island, various residences, using his private jet, the Lolita Express, as a vehicle for abusing young girls, basically organised crimes against children, and at the same time he was engaged in some dodgy financial deals and what have you, and was involved with a lot of very influential people around the world, including members of the royal family, including Donald Trump, the Clintons, you name it, Hollywood names, everybody. And Acosta, who Trump appointed, was it, as Labour Secretary, who had formerly been Epstein's lawyer and had got him that sweetheart deal of basically no time in prison, stated to Congress that he, as far as he was aware, and this was under oath, Epstein was working for intelligence, and there's evidence to suggest that the intelligence was Mossad and or the CIA. So basically getting the dirt on individuals in order to abuse that knowledge, to persuade those individuals to do what exactly? You see, to commit crimes, to abuse their powers of office, to commit crimes, or even entrapping individuals, you know, oh, come on over, have a few drinks, next minute there's photographs, next minute they're suddenly a puppet on a string. And it's like, well, you do what we want, we'll feed you some cash from time to time, and if ever you dare spill the beans, then, you know, you better watch out for your family. Do you love your children? What about your grandchildren? You know, this is what has been going on. This is what's been going on. Again, I'll leave you the link to Katharine Gun story. She worked for British intelligence. She was a translator. She blew the whistle because just prior to the Iraq war, a memo came through from American intelligence asking British intelligence to help them find dirt on UN members so they could use it as leverage to get the UN to endorse invasion of Iraq. This is a fact, you know, this is a fact. They tried to prosecute Katharine Gun for breaking her oath of, well, breaking the official secrets oath, and actually they failed to prosecute her because her barrister managed to get her free on the grounds that no, because it was a necessity that she disclosed that plot, because it was a criminal plot with the specific purpose of taking Britain to war, and illegally, on strength of blackmail. On strength of blackmail. That's what they were attempting. That's what they were doing. So please, we cannot dismiss now that all this evidence that has come out about Epstein as conspiracy theory, that, oh yes, they've been using secrets, dirty secrets, in order to get people they've placed into positions of power to commit dirty deeds. The dirty deeds have got worse and worse, and the criminals are getting ever more powerful, and the crimes are getting worse. And they do get people like Prince Andrew involved in these things. And I'm not saying that Prince Andrew wasn't a willing accomplice, lulled into some kind of false sense of security. Perhaps genuinely believed this young lady was older than her years. Perhaps really had no idea that she was trafficked into this thing really against her will and was trapped there because she had literally nowhere else to go, because that's the kind of things that happen to young, vulnerable, impoverished girls in this world that apparently seems to be not a very important issue of how what poverty does, especially to young women, to young girls, exactly how vulnerable the condition of poverty renders them. And you know, not just young girls either, young boys, children in general are at risk through poverty, every kind of risk, and most especially at the worst of them risks are the predators, the sexual and sadistic predators. And they do rely on having inside people to protect them from arrest, protect them from investigations. People even with control and power over the media that can actually stop the media from publishing certain stories. It is a very bad situation when a nations are governed by this level of crime and criminality. And I feel sad for the Queen, for the royal family, that, you know, this is now implicated, especially knowing already that the Queen has been, I would say, abusively manipulated into giving knighthoods to paedophiles like Edward Heath and Jimmy Savile and Rolf Harris. Even her own intelligence services have failed her in that, you know, she's actually befriended these people like Jimmy Savile, even having a portrait painted by Rolf Harris. When really, you know, surely intelligence knows the background of these people. Surely that's what they're paid to do, is to make sure that the people that get involved with the royal family are above all suspicion. That, you know, why weren't Britain's intelligence security services checking out people like Epstein, you know, that the first time the prince got involved with him, to say, look, back off, the guy, he's a very shady character, stay away from him. Makes you wonder, doesn't it, that maybe the royals need to up their security systems. Because as far as I understood, you know, you didn't get any in an inch of royalty without having a background check when it comes to getting as close as Prince Andrew got with Epstein, as close as Jimmy Savile got with the royal family, and Edward Heath. We all need to wake up big style, because, you know, the children are at risk, and the levels of austerity, this fascist force of power now poised to take control of our planet and impose its ridiculous, insane, new, actually antiquated world order. The children have not got a future worth living. Why do you think people went to war? Because actually they'd rather sacrifice their lives to save the children than live to watch the children born into slavery and horror. We're not here to suffer terror and horror. We're here to enjoy life and be happy. That's why the universe created us. It's up to us to do that. And we're never going to do it while ever we're ignoring, minimising, trivialising stuff like this. And I think the royal family do need to make a statement and come out more to the public, be more publicly accessible and discussing this and how they feel about it. And to be able to step away from it and say, we condemn it. And we are, you know, we're not sure about Prince Andrew anymore. We think he was involved with that young lady. And we'd like him to apologise. To admit that, look, you made a mistake. You were lulled along by somebody. That let him say to this young lady, if indeed what she's saying is true, then he needs to apologise to her. Perhaps give her compensation, though how one can compensate somebody for anything, for that kind of abuse. But he can express his remorse. That, look, I'm really sorry, I should have asked your age, I should have talked to you, instead of just using you like an object provided to me by my friend, my rich, powerful friend. I should have talked to you first, asked you how you got to know Epstein, asked you how old you were you happy there, were you happy to have sex with me? But no, I just assumed you were because you'd been provided for me by my friend. Is that what happened, Prince Andrew? That's the severity of it, really. Even if she was 18, 19, if she's trafficked there and held there against her will, simply by the fact that they've got her and now she's poor and she's got absolutely nowhere else to go, and she has to do as she's told, so she's a slave. It doesn't really matter whether you thought she was 18 or 19. The fact is, she's a slave, a sex slave. And you were happy to take advantage of that. Why? Were you on cocaine at the time? Were there illegal drugs involved? Let's get honest. Let's get honest. You know, from honesty, genuine upset and regret, to show the remorse. That's where forgiveness can come in. That's where, you know, this lady can actually say, give her side of the story, explain, share what she's feeling, be vindicated, validated as an individual, instead of basically being accused of being a liar, on top of all the abuse she's already suffered. And I know how that feels, to be abused by people and then called a liar. It is really horrible, and especially when people believe the abuser, and especially when the abuser is very powerful, socially powerful. It is debilitating. It's emotionally and psychologically debilitating. It impounds the abuse. And so, you know, what that BBC interview with Prince Andrew has achieved, really, is impound the abuse that this lady suffered. Because, you know, he's a prince and he's sat there. No, it didn't happen. Well, I can't really remember, but, you know, I don't remember that photograph, and I don't remember this, and I don't remember that, and is that really my hand around her waist, and blah, blah, blah. Yes, I was at Jeffrey Epstein's house, even after he was convicted of paedophilia. I spent 4 days with him to tell him that I think we shouldn't see each other anymore. I mean, it doesn't even sound slightly credible. And then that upsets everybody even more. And it is turning public opinion against the royal family as a whole. And that's why I think it is necessary now for the royal family to address this whole issue. And for Prince Andrew, just come clean. Admit what happened. Tell it as it really is. There's no saving face here. A face cannot save humanity. Cannot save our children from this psychosexual disease that is spreading like wildfire. We have to save the children, not a face. And it's all this saving of faces that is allowing so many crimes to continue behind the faces. And the victims being re-victimised, and the victims scapegoated, and the victims being blamed and persecuted for the crimes that the faces are too embarrassed to own. I know for one, how I know exactly how it feels to be in that situation of being abused and just being judged a liar, and people saying, well, you're not really credible. Oh, and there's 2 of them, you see, there's only 1 of you. And the one witness that there was saying they didn't see anything. It is horrible. It is a repeat of the experience, except this time, you just feel ganged up on. It is horrible. It's really horrible, and I've witnessed this repeatedly through our media, ganging up to deny credible allegations from children and victims of abuse. It is so wrong. And now to witness Prince Andrew and that terrible BBC interview, which was just, I watched it and it was so uncomfortable and terrible to watch. And we are in a terrible situation. The children are in a terrible situation on our planet, in our country, Britain. They are, honestly, I just wish people could really connect with the severity of it. And I live with chronic complex PTSD. I can tell you it is a nightmare to live with, and to be continually having to pick yourself up and let yourself go down and pick yourself back up again, because you just recognise the cycle and just wait to get well again, and to be well enough to do enough, and to do enough while you're well to cover for the period that that you're not going to be well. I mean, I can't even explain it. It is just, I wouldn't wish it even on my enemies. But I know that there's fresh victims being created every single day. And more and more and more of them. And it's not going to stop till we stop it.